this is Datila, and welcome to the TNAIW GoGo Power Rankings show. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Burt Maclin, no relation to Steve Maclin.
How you doing? How's it going?
All right, so what a show! What two incredible shows we had back to back. There was a lot of good matches on both shows, so it's going to be very hard to decide who makes these power rankings. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, because I think both because we are including Impact and Against All Odds this week. We got like two incredible matches. I think the main event of Impact with Chris Sabin versus Frankie Kazarian was just a barn burner. That was just an outstanding match. And then Against All Odds, I think Mike Bailey, sorry, and Trey Miguel put on an instant classic. That's one of the best matches I think I've seen all year, and I hope gets the credit it deserves because that was just spectacular. One of the best matches I've seen in a while.
I definitely do agree. And not to mention Josh Alexander versus Joe Dorian. That was an incredible match too.
Yeah, I love that as well.
And Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus Motor City Machine Guns, a good match too.
They just gave you so, and then I really enjoyed the tag match between Deonna and Chelsea versus Mia Yim and Mickey James. I thought in just their first match as as a tag team, as you would call it, just because, I don't know if they're an official team, but Chelsea, I would put the belts on Chelsea and Deonna as soon as possible. They worked so well together. They're obviously friends, but just what a great heel team. And I love that match as well.
Same. That was actually one of my favorite matches too.
Yeah.
Right. So who do you expect to see on the power rankings?
Well, being world champion, that carries a lot of weight. You would expect to see him number one, but I wouldn't have a problem putting Mike Bailey at number one just because that match, I think, was the match of the night. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely.
So let's see where the rankings, let's see how they unfold.
Before we get into the power rankings, how do you join the power rankings committee?
It's really simple. All you have to do is just hit me up on Twitter at Burt Maclin 11. We're always looking for diehard Impact fans, people who just love Impact, want to support the show, and want to be part of this community just of great fans. So just hit me up at Burt Maclin 11 on Twitter, and we'll see about getting you in the group.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's play the power rankings. Number 10, DMC Brian Myers. Number 9, Venom Trey Miguel. Number 8, Motor City Machine Guns. Number 7, America's Most Wanted. Number 6, Tag Team Champions Team Ragnikov. Number 5, Moose. Number 4 is Bullet Club. Number 3, World Champion Jordan Grace. Number 2, X Division Champion Mike Bailey. Number 1, World Champion Josh Alexander. All right, I have to say, I'm surprised that Joe Dorian's not in here. I think Joe Dorian gave a performance of a lifetime. And even though he lost, he still deserved a spot on the rankings because he looked good in defeat. His fight with Josh Alexander was no easy fight. I mean, he didn't go down with just a German suplex. It took a lot for Josh to knock him down.
Yeah. I think that's a huge snub. I'm a little upset about that, but I think the reason for that is just because 2 shows, 10 spots. While he should be in the rankings, it was probably very hard for a lot of people not to include them in their rankings just because, like I just said, 2 shows, it's a lot to take in few spots.
Definitely. And not to mention, I'm not surprised Steve Maclin is not on the power rankings again. He was not at Slammiversary, well, on the main card at Slammiversary, and he wasn't even on this card. He just interfered in the Moose Sami Callahan match. That's all he did. So I'm not surprised he's not on there. Hashtag justice for Steve Maclin.
You know, I'm actually fine with him not being on. While I'm a big Steve Maclin fan, I'm fine with him not being on the show. You know, I think on the rankings, he's good. I think I can see him being on the rankings going forward, just because I think there's going to be a big feud coming with him and Sami Callahan. But I'm fine with him not being on the rankings. There's a lot of people who deserved spots this week, and so it's okay.
No, okay. When you put it that way, you make a point. You make a good point that way. You know, Jordan Grace and Speedball and Mike Bailey, I feel like it could have gone either way with them, with their positioning. Wouldn't you agree? Or do you think Speedball deserves that number 2 spot?
I think because I think Mike Bailey could have been number 1. I think it's Mike Bailey was obviously then a clear number 2 than if he wasn't going to be number 1. So so Jordan being number 3 is obvious. I don't think anything was going to overtake that.
Yeah. I will say, I feel like if Josh Alexander, by some miracle, was not at Against All Odds, I think Mike Bailey would have taken the number 1 spot.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of new people on the rankings this week, and four new people, and like one of them obviously being America's Most Wanted, which they were part of that great 10-man tag. It was a really fun match, and I think it's really cool that they made the rankings this week.
I definitely do agree with you. They saved the best for last, the death sentence, their finisher, obviously, and I think it was just a really cool moment in the match. So they deserve that spot on the power rankings.
And great to see Brian Myers making it in there at number 10. I like that. You know what I mean? He's starting to win me over. Good for him. Good for him.
I actually like Brian Myers since he did the most professional thing. I really liked him and Sam Beal together.
And no honor, no more this week, which is very, very surprising. I know they lost, but still, they're a big part of the show. So I'm not saying I'm not surprised they're not on the rankings, but you could argue they could have deserved one of the spots maybe toward the end. But what do you think?
Honor No More, I feel like there's friction in Honor No More. There's definitely something going on with PCO and Eddie Edwards.
So that seems to be the story they're telling, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they're going to start to crumble. Do they deserve a spot in rankings? Probably so, but I just feel like they did it to themselves. They did not let PCO do what he needed to do in that match, and they self-sabotaged, in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems to be the story they're telling. Yeah, because right at the moment when PCO was supposed to go for the PCO salt and then dove into the people on the outside, yeah, that's obviously and then going back from this week on Impact as well and the week before. So I could definitely see him being the first one to leave the group or get kicked out of the group or however that happened. So,
well, if he gets kicked out, Vincent's going with him because he's such a huge PCO supporter.
Yeah, or even and Vincent even getting kicked out first, and so you never know.
Definitely. So we have some stats. Josh Alexander in even 16 weeks on the power rankings. That's an impressive record.
That's incredible. That's basically 4 months. That's awesome. He deserves it. He's basically been I'm not saying the star of the show because there's a lot of stars, but he's just been like, the one carrying the torch for Impact. He's been a great world champion even before he wasn't world champion.
I know, and he has an average of 85%, it seems like it, which is really impressive. He's got the most percentage out of anybody else.
Again, it's really awesome to see, and he deserves it just because whether he's always he's been in the top segment, for a while now, but he just goes out there and puts on great matches. And like I said, he's put Impact on his back and really run with it, made it his company.
I wonder if his back hurts.
What?
I
What was
wonder if I wonder if his back hurts from carrying Impact.
that? That's funny.
No, definitely. But going forward, like with after having Against All Odds and with next week being the Fallout, I feel like there's gonna be people who are on this. Like I don't expect to see America's Most Wanted on there next week. I don't.
No,
And
and
that's not a disrespect to them. I just don't see them being on there next week. And aside from them, it's just maybe Moose. I don't know. It's really hard to tell who's not gonna make the power rankings at this point.
well, with 6 weeks between the next show, I'm blanking on the name right now, but I think it's about 5 weeks. I think we're going to see a lot of new people on the ring just because they have to establish basically 5 new contenders, 4 or 5, how many belts there are for the championships. I'm assuming if they are going to do 5 championship matches or however many they're going to do, so they're going to have to establish basically. We obviously know I see they're going to be doing Steve Maclin versus Sami Callihan. That seems to be a clear feud. It's a non-title feud, but as for the X division, we don't know who's going to challenge for the tag titles. They could do Deonna and Chelsea right now. I don't know if they're going to start that feud right away, but and as far as Josh Alexander, he's beaten everybody from VBD. I don't know a clear contender yet. Are they going to go with him and Ace Austin yet? Are they going to start that feud? Ace is ready to be up there. But like I said, I think eventually Eddie is taking it. But I don't think that starts now. So who do you think is going to be Josh's next opponent?
I see him doing kind of like a mini feud, but it's hard to say who. Maybe Steve Maclin if they but like you said, he's probably moving into a feud with Sami Callihan based on what happened. So it's hard to say for me right now, but I definitely do agree with you. After this mini feud, whoever it's with, he's definitely gonna move on to Eddie Edwards. They planted the seeds. Remember, Eddie Edwards said that Josh Alexander basically um took his moment.
Yes, that's why I said that it's going to be eventually Eddie because for those exact reasons. He said that should have been his match. He's the one that should have been able to beat Kenny Omega or win the belt back.
Yeah, or at least be given the opportunity to challenge Kenny.
He wasn't given one of those opportunities. Yes,
that's true. But I guess you just gotta wait and see. Do you have anything else you want to say or add before we get ready to sign up or wrap up?
No, I just think what another amazing show. I just think at this point, Impact, all they do is hit home runs, and they hit that one out of the park again last night. Phenomenal show.
I definitely do agree with you. I have no regrets of watching Against All Odds as opposed to Friday Night SmackDown. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think people need to stop sleeping on Impact Wrestling. We've had 2 back-to-back shows. I don't know what more to do or to say to people who continue not to watch Impact Wrestling.
I just think just give it a shot. This Thursday is a perfect chance. It's basically a whole new chapter now that we're coming off of a big show, pay-per-view basically. So start with this Thursday. Watch Impact.
Definitely watch Impact. All right. Well, with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Have a good night.